Money Magicians. Welcome to episode 38. Hi, Tumi. My guest today is Tumi, and she is incredible. So if you've just joined us, my name is Bangile Makwakwa. I am your host for the show. I help women of color heal ancestral money trauma so that they can fall in love with their also the author of Heart, Mind, and Money, Using Emotional Intelligence for Financial Success. And I am the founder of Wealthy Money. So for today, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to switch off my videos. So don't be at all freaked out that my video is off. That's only because my guest is the one that needs to be seen, not me. My internet is unstable today. So without further ado, I'm switching off my video and we're going to interview Tumi.
Hello.
Hi, Tumi. Welcome to the Money Map podcast.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, I was telling you, it's been so long since I've seen you because I've seen you for retreats at my mom's place. I've seen you when we're doing one-on-one coaching. I've seen you in the student group. And but in mid 2020 and 2021, I haven't really had time to see you. So thank you for doing this podcast.
You're welcome, Bangile. In 2020, I had to take a break to have baby number 2. So only now are we coming back to being Tumi again.
You look good.
Thank you.
You look amazing. Definitely being a mommy suits you, and congratulations on baby number 2.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can you tell us about yourself? What do you do?
I'm a money magician. Work-wise, I'm a quality management practitioner, and personally, I'm also a property owner, a rental property owner, and that's me. In a nutshell, I'm also a money magician, so I'm looking for ways to always attract money.
I love that. I love that you're a property owner, that you also work and you do all this other cool stuff to make more money. Yay!
Yeah.
So as a money magician, what does money mean to you? How would you describe money to an alien? This is my favorite question, by the way.
Okay, in the student group, in the Wealthy Money group, as well as the Heart Money, what is it?
The Creative Money Magic student group. Oh my God, the Money Magic students are going to be so wowed by you. The wealthy ones are going to be like, what was that?
No, I wanted, I have the book right here, but now the name is
Heart, Mind, and Money.
Yes, the Heart, Mind, and Money. Yeah, you describe money as your lover. So it started off as money, my lover, but now money is family. Money is part of the family. Ooh. That's what money means to me now. Yes.
I love that you can still live with it. But family, now we're tied. Now we're blind.
Yeah, we like that. We're tight. We're very tight. We embrace the ups. We embrace the downs. We are together. That's family.
I really love this. Thank you. That's such an interesting description. I feel like every time there's a guest on this podcast, everyone has such a different view of money that it just really wows me. So when did you start suspecting that your money story wasn't just about the money and there was more to this than just budgeting?
Well, before I joined Wealthy Money, I used to follow you on the bigger group, and you advertised a workshop with Lebu. So I went to that workshop, and during the workshop, you mentioned how the ancestral wounds and how the traumas in our bloodline affects our money story. And for me, up until that moment, I couldn't understand, because I was getting new jobs. I was moving from job to job. I was doing things that would bring money, but they just were not. So I would get offered a job, but it would be at the same money, but the responsibility would increase. Excuse me, the responsibility would be up, but the money would stay constant. Or I would attract money, I would make money, and then it would just disappear. It would slip through my fingers. I would use it, and emergencies would pop up, and I wouldn't understand. And so literally my life was stuck in the same place for years. And when you mentioned that there could be more to the story than what I'm seeing money wise, that was like an aha moment for me, that, you know what, definitely there's something here that I need to look at, because this could really explain what has been happening in my life up until that point.
Yeah. Whew, that is so, so powerful. Thank you. I understand about the ancestral wounds and the ancestral stories, especially when, you're doing all this work and you're like, but I'm doing all this work and I'm not seeing a shift. And then you also see yourself replaying your family stories. So when you talk about ancestral wounds, I think a lot of people at that workshop at the museum, because I remember we did it at the museum, it's like a lot of people that were at that workshop resonated with that, because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming my mother and I'm becoming my father, and I don't understand why, because I'm consciously trying to make different decisions. I'm consciously doing the budget. I'm consciously spending even way less than any of them. But what is happening with my money? And I think that's where a lot of our frustrations are coming from as people, is that, like, we're doing all the things that we have been told we should do in business, and things are still not shifting.
Yep.
Yeah, wow, so cool, so super powerful. Yeah, so what do you wish you had known before starting your money journey?
I wish I had known that there's more to it than just the randelas in the bank. There's really a lot of other work that needs to happen. I wish that because what I do now is, when I do the meditations and when I do the work, I do it with my daughters. Either they're sleeping or they're listening in or they're playing around, but I do it with them around. And I wish I had that kind of background into knowing that you can release and work on your beliefs and whatever's limiting you or whatever you think is happening at that moment. If you just do the work in the background, and instead of focusing on getting the next job or getting the qualification so that it can get you money, I think we grew up with that: go to school, get your papers, get a job, work there, be good. My dad used to say, oh, don't leave work, just stay there, be loyal, build your pension. That is what
build your pension.
Yes, like build your pension, you get the rewards. And then I went into the workplace, and I mean, you work hard, you put in the work, but the rewards don't come. What then? So I wish that I had I had known that it's not about putting in the hard work. You can put in the hard work, but you also need to do other things that are, work on other things in the background that can affect the results that your hard work produces.
When you heard about it, what did you imagine it was, and what did you think you would be doing in the course?
Oh, I thought we'd do like monthly budgets, and we'd be told, oh, this is a new investment, invest in this. I knew there was meditations to it. but I just thought it was going to be like kumbaya, like lovey-dovey. Oh, we're just going to do a meditation to attract money, that sort of thing.
Oh, if only, hey? If only it was that nice.
If only it was that easy.
If only we were just doing a lot of kumbaya and chilling and meditating. But, but now that you're in it, what is it, right? What did you realize? How's it different from your thinking? What is it that you've actually had to do?
The first 6 months I did do the meditations, but what would happen is every time I played one meditation, remember I used to write in the group, like every time I do the meditation, I fall asleep. I don't know what's going on. And then when I did not fall asleep and I did stay awake for a little bit, then in my life, things would just sort of like crumble. Like I would it just caused sort of I don't want to say chaos, but it wasn't the straight line that I was looking for, what I thought. So what would happen is maybe I would do a meditation on releasing thoughts around money, and then something at home would happen and it would just trigger me, and it would be like, no, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. I don't want this. And yeah, but then you learn that as you continue, you take off the layers, and what comes up, it just means that it's something that you need to focus on. You need to focus on getting it sorted out, and then move on. And that's what it is now. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I love what you've just said to me, right? And I want us to dig a little bit deeper in that. It's that most people think that they do the work and then suddenly your external environment changes, that people have like wild behavioral changes, because that's what we've been taught, that if we change, we have the power to change another human being, which is insane, right? Because like people will behave the way that they do. They may change the way that they react to us over time, because like we are putting up boundaries. So we are changing. We're saying, I don't tolerate this behavior anymore. So they change. But so they come correct when they come to us. But it's not that suddenly we do the work and we change and things change. It's that we have to actually do, by doing the work, we're no longer scared to put up boundaries, to say to people, you can't talk to me like that. And actually, by the way, this is what I charge now. No, please, please stop screaming at me. Please don't come to my house with this energy and this attitude. That's how you change the situation. It's not that you are suddenly, that like you do the work and like miraculous shifts happen and people start behaving differently towards you. Sometimes that happens, but oftentimes there's a lot of like things, repeating yourself to people to say, no, thank you. And I know you went through this, right? With people asking you for money. Like, I know, like,
they still do.
You would keep posting in the student group. So talk to us about that, because I so loved all that, right? Like, because that was your thing, right? And it used to trigger you like no end.
Vanille, when I tell you how it worked on my every fiber of my being, literally, it would spiral, because it just took me back to how I saw my parents being used and abused by people. They would help, and then once they've helped you, you would turn around, the people who they've helped would turn around and badmouth them, talk badly, or they would turn against them. So me being this person and having that background and that. So when somebody asks me for money, it would just take me back there. And it actually got to a point, where once I did the work, I realized that was also part of the reason that I was also suppressing my own success, and my money story was stuck, because I just didn't want to have to say no, and the person hates me, or I didn't want to say yes and they hate me anyway, based on my experience. And so I would just suppress myself. I would self-sabotage when it came to time for me to show up for myself at work, or show off. I wouldn't do that, because it just meant that if I get more money, then more people are gonna come, and then it's more enemies. So that is how, and every time somebody asked, it would trigger that whole thing, and I would just spiral out, and it was very, very, it was a whirlwind, really, it was. And it's one action or one text or one call from one person would trigger days and days and days of anxiety.
That's trauma. That's
Yes.
what trauma does.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would go into the group and I would say, oh, here we go again. I wish I can stop. And I would say, I wish I can stop attracting people who do this. Phew. So that was
right.
But it's
I find it fascinating. It's the very things that we don't want to attract that, like, as we do the work, those are the things that we bring to us, yes. Right? Because we're doing the work to avoid people asking us for money, right?
Yes.
So that's what we think. But the truth is that we're doing the work so that we can heal the trauma around that, heal the triggers, and heal the fears of being people pleasers, right? Yes. Which is a trauma response. It's one of the trauma response forming, which is that we just people please so that we can avoid conflict and can avoid the trauma. But so as you were doing the work, especially if you're doing spirit of money work, right? It's like the spirit of money is going to trigger all the things that you hate most. It's going to be like, so if your thing is that you're going to run out of money, that's the thing that starts to get triggered.
That's what happens.
Right? Like if your biggest fear around money is that you are going to get people asking you for money, that's what's going to come up. But like, so what did you realize in that moment? Like, how did you realize? Because the thing that we always say is that, again, you can't change people. People like liberty, because I said to you, I remember I said this to you, that 100 people can ask you for money. There's nothing you can do. That's not your problem, right? Your thing is how you respond to that. So your thing was, how do you set boundaries and how do you get to a point where you can say no in your nervous system? Say no and not have your nervous system react like, oh my God, danger, danger, danger. I need to go back to the fawning response. So how did that go? Like, take us through the journey, because I know people are listening to this and wondering, oh my gosh, how do I deal with this?
Honestly, for me, it was a lot of letters to money, and also doing tapping on the fear of losing love. So I would dedicate time on a very regular basis, like every day, to tap and just release that fear that if I set my boundary and I know that this is a boundary that I have set for myself, I have to respect that whether somebody likes me or not, as a consequence of that. And having to work on releasing that and working on letting that fear go, and it's a process. I'm still working on it. I still have people who ask me for money and I would say no, and then I would worry, is this going to affect relations? But immediately I have to come back and say no. If it does, it was not a good relation for me to have. Is that the kind of relations that I want to keep? Yes, no, then if it cuts, it cuts. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But and also having to always have to affirm myself and remind myself that no, me saying no at this point is a boundary that I have set for myself, and I have to respect that. If I respect that boundary, it means I'm showing myself love, and this is how I choose to show myself love. At this moment, this is my truth, and that's how for me it's gotten easier. It's gotten easier to say no. It's gotten easier to not really try to save everybody, because I wasn't winning. I did try it, but I wasn't winning. And it never got to a point where a person had come to me and said, you know what, you've helped me enough. It's never gotten to that. So it means that it's always going to be, I was trying to fill a bottomless pit, of which is that what I want for myself? Do I feel that, it's not that I don't help people when they do come and ask for help, but I choose and I do what's comfortable for me.
Thank you for that. I love what you just said. Like, it's like a bottomless pit that very few people ever come back to most people and say, you know what, it's enough, right? And also, I think it's also about how we choose to help people. I was having this conversation with one of my little cousins, which is like, how I'm choosing to help is like, I will definitely pay for school, anything school related, anything like that, and like anything that will get him a career so that he can stand on his own and be his own person. But anything else that like I feel like isn't actually like he feels is important, right? But I'm like, how does it ensure that you never ever need me ever again? Because I always say to people, what happens if the person that you're relying on the most, God forbid, something happens to them, they lose their job, they can't work for a few years, they no longer have any money, or something tragic happens, what happens then? So it's also about how do we choose to help people. And as we put up boundaries, it's not always going to be respected that, oh, I'm choosing to help this person start a business, but this person I'm choosing to help finish school. Right? And sorry, I unfortunately do not prize, even though I'm a traveler, I do not see helping you as paying for a trip to Durban.
No.
So like, it's like not the top of my responsibility, right? So, and it can sometimes be hard for people, and it can be so upsetting. But putting those boundaries in place, I feel, even for ourselves, to define how we are choosing to help people, right? There's certain things like emergencies that I always tell the Money Magic students, like funerals and certain things where like, you can't bow out of that. So you have to help in some capacity. But if someone is coming to you and they're like fully able-bodied and every month they want you to help them with groceries and like the first few months you can be like, I can help you, but let's put a plan in place as to how you're going to do this. I'm just thinking with me and Jane, like I didn't have to help beyond the retreats, and then everything else was just knowledge. I do that with a lot of people in my life. I'm like, I can help give you the skills and knowledge. And then there's some people, like I said, where I'm like, okay, I can help in this manner. That's like they require a bit more because they're a little younger. They're not able-bodied. They don't have extra skills. I feel like it's up to us to discern how to help people. And it's a hard one, I understand. But we can also be honest and know that sometimes we're helping people to buy clothes, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we're helping people for other things. I think we've had this conversation before in the student group where like we've seen people who owe us money and they're out at parties, and how that makes us so unable to sleep. You're like, this person just flashed a Gucci bag and they owe me money. Like they just...
And they told you that they can't pay you because they don't have money.
So that has been like, we've laughed about these things, guys, because it's like, yeah, well, we also didn't put in boundaries as to how we help people. This is not to say there's certain people, I am in such favor of helping elderly family members and young family members with food, with accommodation stuff, all that. But yeah, then there's people that are able-bodied our age.
No.
Working or
cord.
doing other things, and it's just like, okay.
And also, Vanille, you know, once you see that this person, that's also what made it easy for me, that you know, every time I helped someone, I had to go without something else, you know. So I would make myself go without so that I can help them. And then you see that you doing without, and this person really, really didn't need the help. So that also made it a little bit easier to say, I can help that one, but not that one, because I've seen that you come to me with emergencies that are not really emergencies, and that one really only comes when they really, really need help, and you just want to go have a good time. And it also makes it easier to discern, like, no, when this one comes, honestly, I don't have for you, I really cannot help you, move along.
Yeah, no, I get that, because, and I think the power of healing the trauma that you had, the fear of losing love, right, is that when you have this need to be validated and loved by everyone at whatever cost, then it's like, it doesn't matter, like, it's hard to discern who needs the help and who's just here because, well, you're here and
You're
they
offering.
don't want to go do for themselves. Because the truth is that some people really genuinely do need help, you know. And I know I've gotten into tiffs with some family members because it seems like, well, you favorite other people over others. And I'm like, no, because if I'm looking at an 80-year-old versus a 25-year-old who has a degree and some job and everything, who do you think who do I prioritize to help with my limited resources?
The
80-year-old. 80-year-old. This is just, you know, it makes sense. So I think these are things that, like, we all know that there are people that genuinely need help. And then we also know that there are people that, like, if we help just once and we even provide some kind of guidance here and there, if they follow that guidance, they can start to help themselves, right? I'm never going to expect an 80-year-old family member of mine to help themselves. I'm never, ever going to say that. That would be violent. That would be like, you know, I wouldn't be like, "Ooh, every person must help themselves." No, right?
No.
But, and so that's the thing. But like those in their 20s, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm highly likely to say this. I'm highly likely to go into lectures and things like that. I mean, like, obviously everyone's situation is different. And I won't ever like shame people for asking for help, but I would want to get into a discussion around, how can I help? I can help for this month, but please, let's talk about how we can sort the situation out if you want. So I like that we're having this conversation, because I know it's a big thing within our families.
True, sure, it's huge.
So Tumi, how has your definition of trauma changed since starting the course and doing your inner work?
Well,
I thought
trauma, you know, you have this understanding that there is something called trauma, but it's just, I just thought all I have to do is just heal it, and everything's gonna go one hunky-dory, and I don't have to deal with it ever again. So doing the wealthy money work has shown me that you can keep going back to the same thing, and you know, it's a trauma. It's there. It's something that you have dealt with. You can work on releasing it, but it doesn't mean that you know, there's no layers to it. So what I'm trying to get to is that what I realized was there's trauma. There's layers to this thing. You know, once you think you've let go of somebody borrowing 100 rand, you then deal with somebody borrowing 1,000 rand because now you have a little bit more, or you deal with this my battery's low. You deal with this layer by layer, and with every layer comes its own healing. With every layer that you peel off and you heal, something else happens, and you know, it's a matter of standing in your truth over and over and over and over again to in order for you to get to that point where you know, you constantly have to work on it. You cannot just you know, I want to go back to something that me and my brother were discussing about parenting, and it's a perfect example that you cannot mindlessly do it. You constantly have to watch what traumas you experienced from a certain behavior, and you constantly have to watch against it, because otherwise you keep repeating the cycle. It moves from me to my kids, or from the next generation onto the next generation, and it's something that you have to keep working on it. You have to keep being mindful. You have to keep being present to know that, is this something that, what does this trigger? What does this relate to? Oh, I thought I was over this, but clearly I'm not. Then you go in again.
Oh, that is such a good description, because it's that, like, I thought I was over this, that trips us up. And then most of us think, ooh, nothing is working, we're regressing, you know? Meanwhile, it's that, no, it's just that this is layered, and that obviously there are remnants of, there are many memories. So what I've learned over time is that the first time the trauma happens, like something traumatic happens, we form a belief around that. And then that belief, either around about the world, money, ourselves, and then that belief starts to impact how we show up in the world, right? And so every time something happens, the belief is reiterated. It becomes harder for us to process certain events because it reiterates this belief. And then something else happens, the belief is reiterated. So we have so many unprocessed traumatic events related to specific beliefs and theories around life that we've held on to, right? That actually every time we are triggered, we're actually getting the opportunity to heal one memory and the next and the next. And I think what we're doing with the inner work is that we, in the Money Magic course, we're not waiting for the triggers, right? We're being proactive and going into the trauma and healing it, so that as things are happening, oh, that layer's already been processed. That layer's already been processed. Right? And that's why it can sometimes feel magical, because we're like, oh my gosh, last month this happened, and now this month this has happened. No, it's because you're literally healing, and as you heal the trauma, the way you behave and react to things starts to change. Right? And I think that a good example is parenting, right? Is that as you become more aware of who you are as a parent and your own traumas, every time your child does something, it's not that they're going to stop doing that behavior, but the way you react to it is different, and thus less traumatic for them, right? They don't carry the same trauma as you carry. So if before you were shouting and screaming and you realize, oh my God, that was not the way to handle this, and the next time they behave in the same manner because they are children, you're able to just be calm and talk them through the entire behavior and explain why that is not nice or why you don't like it. You've already changed something within them. And the next time they do it, you're able to react that way over and over again. They won't carry the trauma of violence around that behavior that we carry. Yeah. So how did you feel emotionally about money before starting the course? And how has that shifted as you do the inner work in the course?
Money was a total stranger. Money just I felt like it just came in and right past, you know, and I constantly had to fight to prove that I deserve and I am worthy. So that is one aspect that the Wealthy Money Magic, the magic course, helped me with, because like I said, now I understand that money is family, and we're not gonna be on the same page every day, but we're still together, we're family.
Yes.
That's it. You know, tomorrow we're happy and oh, you're here in abundance. Thank you. And then, oh, this is not such a good month. Oh, then what do I need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen? Or I look at this deeply. What does this mean? Where does this come from? So definitely before the Money Magic course, money was like, it was a frustration.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I love it. So what are some of the shifts that you have seen in your income, savings, and debt since starting the course?
My income has shifted.
Nice. I know that was a big thing for you. Like that increase is a big thing. Because it was like, oh my gosh. I remember how much work we did on that, Tumi. It was intense.
That is the one thing. And you know, and what also I have to mention this, it came with ease. You know, the shifts happened and they happened with ease. I didn't have to go out and fight. I didn't have to go out and prove. I didn't have to, I just didn't have to. I didn't have to do any of those things that I did. It just happened. It you know, I can say it's almost by magic, but I know it's because of the inner work, that the foundations that were laid, and all the decluttering that happened before. You know, and the shifts have happened. The rental income has been constant, you know,
because that was also a big thing.
Yes, I've only ever had one tenant who didn't pay, and eventually we had to get take them out during COVID. But after that, it's been seamless. It's been, you know, it's my needs are met. If I have a need and I have something that needs money, money shows up and it happens and I move on. So during COVID, I had one tenant who just, you know, he lost his job, and he wasn't even a tenant. But as soon as he got out, then everything became seamless again. It was almost as if you know, money was saying, are you going to just let things be? Because previously I would have probably just let things be because I didn't want to stand up for money and myself. So that is also one of the other shifts, that now I'm willing to stand up and say, no, that is my money, and I have a say as to what I do with it. It doesn't just happen. Things don't just happen where I'm concerned, where my money is concerned. I have to have control. I have to know what's going on. And with that, you know, that things just became smooth. Things just work out better.
Really, really interesting. And how's it been in terms of debt and savings?
The debt is the only big debt is the properties. And the savings, I'm looking at different investments, different portfolios, changing my portfolio. So like I'm saying, now I'm more in control, whereas years ago when I opened a investment portfolio, I would have left it to the broker to decide where they would invest my money. But now I'm taking control and saying, no, this is what I want to see, and this is not what the growth that I want to see. Then I need to see more. And in order to do that, I need to do 1, 2, 3, or you need to do 1, 2, 3. And that control, that is also one of the biggest shifts for me, because now I feel more in control. And savings wise, I'm seeing that it's paying off.
Wow, I love this. Oh, thank you for sharing that. So awesome. So what are the 3 lessons or meditations in the course that you feel have made an impact on your relationship with money, or even shifted your mindset around money?
The childhood meditation, letting go of beliefs around money, limiting beliefs around money, or the beliefs that we had in childhood about money. Also the lesson 1, I'm doing that a lot.
Oh yeah, I love lesson 1. So guys, lesson 1 is about being present in your body.
That's, yeah.
I love that. That's actually a very underestimated lesson, but one of the most powerful, especially when you're spinning around money and have no freaking clue what's happening.
Yes. So what I do now, I just go and I go lesson 1, boop, play, and that's why the names escape me. But lesson 1, definitely, and releasing. So I constantly go back to releasing childhood trauma, childhood beliefs around money, limiting beliefs around money. That is also a big one for me. And I like to go into the Akashic Records meditation, though it scares the living daylights out of me. But when I'm feeling brave,
I can't. Like, I know I recorded those meditations, but people just have to forgive me. Like, I can't. Like, it's a lot. Like, recording them was a lot. Doing them is a lot.
It's a lot. It's really a lot. But I like to go in there now and again just to see, what's still in there, Akashic Records, or what is it that comes out of that. And those are my, I think those are my top 3 meditations. But definitely lesson 1, that is where I've been stuck for the past 3-4 months now. And I just keep going back to it. Every once a week, I go back to it and I just redo lesson 1. And
I tell people that like there's some meditations where you'll be stuck on that meditation. Like right now, I'm stuck on lesson 22 meditations. Like I've been there for like 3 months. And then I go between that and the God wound. Because like being back in South Africa, my God wound is on steroids. I'm like, bring it. Like, oh my gosh, I have to go back to the vow to prove the unfairness of God often. And guys, like again, the God wound has nothing to do with religion. It's just, there's a lot of issues, especially, and I will say this, people that are deeply spiritual and like have had a relationship with the divine in any religion, we're more likely to have a God wound, right? Because we've been in relationship with the divine. We've like had time to think about it. So we've really developed our own drama issues, belief systems around that, versus someone who's just been like living their lives, not had to contemplate divinity, God, anything. And like they're in a better position in many ways with the God wound because it's like a clear slate for them. Whereas we come with our dramas and like, oh yeah, by the way, I used to pray for this and it didn't happen. I have dramas with that.
I did the God wound meditation a lot late last year. For about 2 or 3 months. I was just constantly on that meditation, constantly, because I just felt like there was a lot happening, and I just needed to just get all the anger out of my, literally anger. I just needed to work on that anger.
I mean, that is the core of the God wound, right? It's the anger at divinity and anything to do with the divine. I am there. Like, I feel like South Africa has gotten me there. Like, I feel like every time, like, when I was in Sri Lanka, I was like, the God wound. Like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm above this now. Like, me and the divine there. Like, I'm loving being in connection with the divine. Now that I'm back home and I'm triggered, I'm like, by the way, all my teen trauma, like, I didn't have to go through that. Like
you see,
I have drama. Like, I'm like, this was so unnecessary. Like, honestly.
You didn't have to do me like that.
I didn't have to be done like that. And how many times did I like ask for divine intervention and help? Maybe I didn't go to church, true, but like I did in my own way, ask for divine help.
Where were you?
Oh gosh, but we laugh about this because, well, I always say in the Money Magic student group, if we don't laugh, we'll cry, right?
True.
So, but I love doing the work. So people are probably listening to you and they're like, "Who, Tumi? You've got 2 children. You hold down a job. You're managing properties. When do you get the time to do the work? Like, do you have a process? What's your thing? Do you have a trick? Because that's a big thing. Most people are like, oh, I'll join the course and I'll never do the work." And I'm like, trust me, once you start getting going, you'll see the truth of your issues and you'll be like, I really, really need to start clearing this stuff.
So what keeps me going is that when I was going through the most with work and studies and parenting, the only thing that made me stay sane was the work. That's it. That's what helped me together. If you remember, I was at work, I was going through bullying at work, I was overworked, I was studying also, and then I had a 1-year-old, 2-year-old at that time. And but I kept it together, literally, because I would play the meditations and I would fall right asleep because I was dead tired. And I hardly ever journaled at that time. But just listening to the meditations, even in my sleep, helped me go through so much. And it helped me deal with so much that now. Okay. So what kept me together was just listening to the meditations. At that time, I would just fall asleep because I was busy the whole day. And at the end of the day, I would think, okay, now I need to do my inner meditation, my inner work, and do meditations. And as soon as the meditation started, I would fall right asleep because I'm tired. And I remember I kept on asking in this group that I just fall asleep. I would joke and say, when Vangile says relax, and then my body just relaxes and I just go to La La Land. But looking back at it now, when I look back, that is actually what helped me, because I wouldn't have had the balance to continue, things as the shift happened, as things happened, I would just go and I would work on it, and I would say, okay, I'm going to do this meditation, and I would pick a meditation for the day, and I would say, this is what I focus on healing today. I focus on healing this today. I focus on healing whether I'm awake or I'm asleep. This is what I'm healing today. So I would play the meditations in my sleep. And it still happens that I know that journaling is a good way to get to process what you have seen in the meditations. But I honestly, 80% of the time, I'm asleep. I'm done. and then I will think about it in the morning that, this is now things. That's when I start processing things. So if you're watching this and you think you don't have the time, yes, you do. You can do it in your sleep and let your subconscious heal. Because that is where the blockages are. I can say, I want more money. I'm ready for more money. But if my subconscious is not ready and it's still hanging on to beliefs that I'm not worthy, or that I'm not good enough, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to get the money and I'm going to lose it. I'm going to not get the money, for instance. And that happened to me for a very long time. So I do know that the subconscious does hang on to these beliefs. So when the healing happens there, that gave me a lot of comfort, that, because when I started seeing things shifting in my conscious life, and I would think, yeah, I don't have that doubt anymore. I don't have it. It's a small voice now, unlike that loud voice that was in my head. It's a small voice, and I can quickly say, oh no, that's not true, and it disappears. So I would encourage that, do it. Do it. You're awake.
Oh my gosh,
you're
I love
asleep.
that.
Just do it.
I just love it. So my last question to you, before I ask how people can get hold of you, is also, most people say that they think that they get all that the work in the Money Magic course is what I'm doing in the live videos, and that is what will shift them, like when I'm doing live classes. I think like we're kind of hearing that like it's not the same. Don't laugh, like they don't.
Let
like everyone,
that go.
I think that people are really thinking that, oh no, we're just gonna do, like you said, the kumbaya meditations.
Yeah, no, that's not true. Just let that notion go. Just let it go. Forget about it. There's something for everybody. There's meditations if you are into meditations. There is breath work if you are into breath work. There is tapping if you are, because I experience most of my breakthroughs when I do tapping the most. So if you are into tapping, there's tapping. There's journaling for those, there's prompts for those who can sit and have the time to write out, so there is, it speaks to all of us in different ways, but the healing is there, whichever one is your preferred method. We people are different. We're all different. And we respond to different things.
Yes. I think that's why the Money Magic course is so vast, right? It's like most people are like, oh my gosh, like courses should be nice and short and people feel overwhelmed. And I'm like, no, because nobody is expecting you to do this course in a linear fashion. You can literally stay on the same meditation like you and I have been talking for like talking about for like the next 3-4 months. There's no one that is going to force you to move, and because you know what you are working with and you're understanding and feeling the shifts and you're seeing them in your bank account, because we are all different. So I feel like because this is a course that is targeting ancestral trauma, like it has to target, like healing has to happen on multiple modalities, because I know some students are like EFT tapping miss me, but like we can shift on like the Akashic records, so it's all about the different ways that we heal, and honoring that your journey is not going to be the same as my journey, right? Like right now you're in lesson 1. I'm like fully immersed in the breathwork meditations in lesson 22, and I'm deep within the God wound, right? It's completely different. So our journeys cannot mirror each other because you have a different path to me. And like
Yes.
what you're dealing with right now is different to what I'm dealing with. So thank
Yes.
you so much for that. So Tumi,
Yeah.
you've been so generous. Oh, I love these interviews so much. You've shared so much about your insights and yourself. How do people get hold of you? I know some people are like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. She's talking to me. People are asking me for money. Like, I want to know what the hell she means about this course. And also, she's in property and she's willing to
Yeah.
talk about it so openly. Please talk to us about that. Tell us about that. How do people get hold of you, especially
Um,
to talk property and everything else?
they're more than welcome to reach me on my Facebook. It's Dumaiza Tumi. There you can inbox me. You can go on my wall. Either way, I'm there. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. So I don't know. I think if you're on Facebook and you get me on Facebook, that's probably the easiest way. And then and then I can give out my cell number there.
Awesome. Fantastic. So guys, Tumi is on
Sorry.
Facebook and you can get her at Tumizatumi. So how you spell that is Tumyza, right? And then space Tumi, Tumi. Thank you so much, Tumi. This has been incredible. And I'm going to switch my video on for people on YouTube to see me one last time. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. If you enjoyed this and it's resonating with you and you're like, oh my God, I want to be so part of this course, it sounds amazing, then go check it out and register for the course, or I'll get on the waiting list if we're closed for registration. You can do all that at wealthy-money.com/money magic. Again, wealthy-money.com/money magic. If you're loving these interviews, you're loving what the chats are about, loving some of the some of the classes that I also do on the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review on a 5-star rating on iTunes and leave us a review. So write us a review and also leave us comments on Podbean. And of course, always a pleasure to read your comments on YouTube. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day further. And thank you so much to me.
Thank you.